Welcome to the deep dive. This is where we take sources, often ones you're curious about, and really pull out the key insights so you can get informed fast.
That's the goal. Quick understanding, deep insights.
Exactly. And today, we're tackling a big one, Napoleon Hill's Law of Success. We've got his original work right here.
Foundational text for many.
It really is. And our mission, essentially, is to unpack his 16 lessons, not just list them, but understand them, and crucially, figure out how these ideas from, well, a pretty different time can actually work for you today.
Yeah, how they translate.
Oh.
Because they were powerful then, but do they still hold up? Spoiler, Hill argues they do.
Think of this as your shortcut to grasping Hill's core ideas and seeing how you might use them.
And it's important to remember where this came from. This wasn't just Hill sitting in an armchair. He spent, what, over 20 years?
Yeah, decades.
Decades analyzing, like over 100 really successful people. We're talking Henry Ford, Thomas Edison, Rockefeller, Andrew Carnegie.
Yep.
The absolute titans of that era.
Right, the shapers of industry and innovation.
So this isn't just theory. He was trying to distill the practical, actionable stuff from their actual life work, as he put it.
So our goal today, explore these timeless principles and find their relevance for your growth personally and professionally right now.
Let's do it.
Okay, lesson 1, the mastermind. What exactly did Hill mean by that?
Well, he defined it as this harmonious alliance. Two or more minds working together for a specific goal.
And that word harmonious seems really key for him.
Absolutely crucial. It's not just a team, it's a team in sync. Perfect harmony, he called it. That's where the magic, the extra energy comes from.
He uses Ford, Edison, and Firestone as an example, right? These giants in business, invention, industry.
Yeah, exactly. He believed their close collaboration, their shared vision, that harmony was a huge part of why they achieved such, well, groundbreaking things. It creates a kind of synergy.
Okay, so here's the question for today then. How do you create that perfect harmony now? You know, with virtual teams, different time zones, maybe people you've never even met in person.
That's the challenge, isn't it? It probably requires more deliberate effort now. You can't just rely on bumping into each other at the water cooler.
So what does that look like?
It might mean being really intentional about communication, setting clear expectations, maybe even rules of engagement for online stuff.
Yeah.
Perhaps scheduling specific time, virtual time, just for building that team connection, that trust.
So the principle-aligned purpose, harmony stays the same, but the tools might need updating.
Precisely. You need a modern toolkit for that old principle.
All right, let's move to lesson 2, definiteness of purpose. This feels, I don't know, fundamental.
It really is the starting point in Hill's view. All major success, he argues, starts with having a definite chief aim, a clear target for your life.
And he had that statistic, didn't he? Something about how few people actually have one.
Yeah, quite a striking one. He estimated that 95% of the people he studied lacked that clear, definite aim. 95%.
Wow. So most people are just drifting.
Essentially, yes. And it's not just about having a purpose. It's about having definite plans to achieve it, going from a wish to a strategy.
So for you listening, maybe feeling pulled in lots of directions, how do you find that definite chief aim? Cut through all the noise.
It's a big question. Hill's advice was actually pretty straightforward.
Oh, was it?
Write it down, make your aim tangible, put it on paper, and then this is key, look at it every single day.
Every day.
Every day. It acts like a compass, constantly reminding your subconscious where you're headed. In today's world, with endless distractions, that daily reminder can be, well, incredibly powerful for staying focused.
A way to anchor yourself. I like that. Okay, lesson 3, self-confidence.
Right. And Hill connects this directly to mastering what he called the 6 basic fears. Things like fear of poverty, ill health, old age, criticism, even loss of love and death.
That's a heavy list. Confidence helps with all of that.
That's his argument. But he's careful to distinguish real self-confidence from, just being egotistical or arrogant.
What's the difference in his view?
True confidence is quieter. It's a deep internal belief in your own ability, not necessarily loud or boastful. He tells a story about a young ad salesman.
Oh, yeah.
Who landed a huge account, mainly because he just radiated this unwavering belief in himself and his service. It was infectious.
And he talks about autosuggestion here too, right? Using it to build that confidence.
He does. Autosuggestion is basically about consciously feeding your mind positive affirmations, telling yourself repeatedly that you believe in yourself, that you believe in these principles.
So talking to yourself, essentially.
Kind of, yeah, but with intention, like planting seeds. He suggested doing it daily. Over time, this consistent positive self-talk helps build that genuine self-belief. It's a great tool against things like, imposter syndrome today.
Which so many people struggle with. Okay, practical stuff now. Lesson 4, the habit of saving.
Yes, and his point is pretty simple. Consistently save a portion of your income. Doesn't matter how small you start. Just build the habit.
Sounds basic, but he frames it as really important for freedom.
Exactly. Financial independence. He talks about his own regret, realizing how much money had just sort of vanished over the years because he didn't have this habit.
The slipping through his fingers idea.
Right. And he links saving directly to being free from debt, free from financial worry. It's about achieving a certain kind of liberty.
He says you need to actively replace the spending habit with the saving habit. Easier said than done in our world, maybe?
It can feel like it. But think about it this way. If saving is linked to your definite chief aim, it stops feeling like deprivation and starts feeling like a strategy.
Ah, connecting it back.
Exactly. And today, we have tools he didn't. Budgeting apps, automatic transfers. They can help automate the habit, make it less about willpower.
Aligning your money with your goals. Makes sense.
Okay, lesson 5, initiative and leadership. How did he define initiative?
Very simply, doing what needs to be done without being told. Seeing a need and acting on it.
Proactive.
Totally. He believed this was a huge driver of advancement. He tells this story about a stenographer.
Who just kept doing more, finding ways to be more helpful, taking initiative. And she ended up with a much bigger salary and, importantly, more joy in her work. People naturally want to follow someone who shows initiative.
He contrasts leadership styles, too. Mentions Napoleon.
Right. Saying Napoleon, for all his power, maybe lacked a certain helpfulness, a focus on others. He'll list several key leadership traits. What stands out to you?
Well, self-confidence is there again. Fairness. Decision-making. But also things like moral ascendancy and self-sacrifice. What's key for today's leaders, do you think?
I think his point about needing to really know your business, maybe even better than your team does, is critical now. In such complex times, you need that deep understanding to lead credibly. Plus, initiative, decisiveness, fairness, those are timeless.
Definitely. Okay, lesson 6, imagination. He saw this as something you could actually develop.
Absolutely, like a muscle you can strengthen. And he uses some great stories to show its power.
Like the dog story.
Yeah. The guy who couldn't give away a dog, so he used imagination to create this whole narrative about its value, making someone want it. Brilliant.
And the university funding story.
Dr. Harper needing money for the University of Chicago. Instead of just asking, he used imagination to figure out his donors' motivations, their rivalries, and framed his request in a way that appealed directly to those. Very clever.
It seems crucial for sales, problem solving. He had that clothing store comparison too.
Right. The store where the salesperson used imagination to help the customer envision themselves looking great versus the one who just sold clothes. Big difference in outcome.
So how do we cultivate our imagination for today's challenges? Innovation, thinking outside the box.
It's about mindset, isn't it?
Yeah.
Allowing yourself to ask what if, breaking free from assumptions. Maybe it's brainstorming, maybe it's pursuing creative outlets, just giving your brain space to make new connections. In a world changing this fast, it's not a luxury, it's essential.
Essential. Okay. Lesson 7, enthusiasm.
Enthusiasm. He describes it as this vibrant state of mind. It's infectious, it inspires action.
Contagious energy.
Exactly. He compares someone like Billy Sunday, full of fire, to someone lacking it. The impact is just worlds apart. And crucially, he says you can develop enthusiasm, especially focused on your definite chief aim. It's not just personality.
Even if things aren't great right now.
Especially then, maybe. Focusing on your purpose fuels it. He talks about enthusiasm creating mental vibrations. Sounds a bit woo-woo, maybe.
A little bit. What's the practical takeaway?
Think about the energy you project. When you're genuinely excited about something, people feel it. It's in your voice, your body language. It makes you more persuasive, more inspiring. And your actions, fueled by enthusiasm, speak louder than just words.
Got it. Actions driven by genuine passion. Now, lesson 8, self-control. He calls it the balance wheel for enthusiasm.
Yeah, because raw enthusiasm without direction can be, well, destructive. Self-control channels that energy constructively.
So it's not about suppressing feelings.
Yeah. Not necessarily suppression, more like management. Consciously choosing your responses. He shares a personal story about writing an angry letter.
And then not sending it.
Right. He reflected, felt compassion instead. That shift, that deliberate choice, that self-control. He argues the highest form is consciously choosing your thoughts, refusing negative input.
Because the mind directs the body. Control the thoughts, control the actions.
That's the idea.
In our crazy, stressful, always-on world, how do you actually do that, build that self-mastery?
It connects a lot to modern ideas like mindfulness, emotional intelligence. Practices like meditation, even just taking a few deep breaths can help build that awareness. It's about pausing before reacting, resisting the impulse. It takes practice.
Constant practice, probably. Okay, lesson 9, the habit of doing more than paid for. Going the extra mile.
Essentially, yes. Consistently delivering more value, better service than strictly required. He argues this inevitably leads to greater returns, more recognition, better opportunities.
He has an anecdote about someone volunteering.
Yeah, a man who took on extra work, showed initiative, and eventually got a much better position and salary. And he mentions Marshall Field's store policy, like letting a customer return something years later, as an example of this principle in action. Extreme customer service.
But it's not about letting people exploit you.
No, he's clear on that. It's about proactively demonstrating your value, creating opportunities for yourself by being exceptionally helpful and effective, building your reputation.
So for the listener, how do you apply this without burning out? It sounds exhausting.
It's about being strategic. Where can you add unique value? Where can you offer insights or support beyond the basic job description? It's about making a positive impact and building goodwill, which often pays off down the road. Strategic generosity, maybe?
I like that. Strategic generosity. Okay, lesson 10. Pleasing personality seems important for success.
Absolutely critical, according to Hill. And it's both inner qualities and how you present yourself outwardly. He mentions that specifically. Handshake, eye contact, smile. First impressions matter. He tells a story about an old lady whose warmth and smile were just incredibly persuasive.
So it's about being nice.
It's more than just nice. It's tact, diplomacy, understanding how you come across. He uses the example from Julius Caesar Brutus's blunt speech versus Mark Antony's much more skillful, pleasing approach. Antony won the crowd.
Ah, understanding your audience, connecting with them.
Exactly. In today's world, that means strong interpersonal skills, empathy, listening well, respecting others even when you disagree. Building rapport, it's huge for networking, collaboration, everything.
Definitely. Okay, lesson 11. Accurate thought. Thinking clearly.
Thinking factually, dealing with facts, separating them from your own biases or what they say. He really warns against being swayed by gossip or popular opinion without checking the facts.
He mentions historical figures being hurt by slander.
Yeah, presidents like Harding, Wilson, Lincoln, suffering from inaccurate public perception. Hill says the accurate thinker has one standard: truth, facts.
In today's information tsunami, how do you even do that? How do you think accurately?
It's tough. It requires critical thinking, questioning sources, looking for evidence, being aware of your own biases, seeking out different perspectives, not just ones that confirm what you already believe. Media literacy is a huge part of it now.
Constant vigilance, almost. Lesson 12. Concentration.
The ability to fix your attention, focus.
Like Edison in his lab.
The classic example.
Yeah.
Utterly absorbed. Hill believed developing concentration helps impress ideas onto your subconscious, which helps with memory, habits, achieving goals.
He also mentioned something about tuning into a universal mind.
Yeah, he touches on that kind of speculatively.
Yeah.
Intense concentration, potentially opening up access to greater intelligence. He puts it out there as something to test for yourself.
Interesting. But the practical side, focus in a world full of distractions, that's undeniably valuable.
Absolutely. We call it deep work now. Minimizing distractions, dedicating focused time. In our fragmented world, the ability to concentrate is a superpower.
A superpower. I like it. Lesson 13. Cooperation. We touched on this with the mastermind.
Right. He revisits it here, emphasizing again that big success relies on harmonious cooperation, getting others to willingly work with you.
He uses that story. The father and the bundle of sticks.
The quarrelsome sons, yeah. United, they're strong. Divided, they're weak. Simple but powerful. He points out how lack of cooperation destroys businesses, marriages, everything.
And leadership is key to getting that cooperation.
Essential. Leaders need those qualities: fairness, decisiveness, pleasing personality that inspire trust and make people want to cooperate.
So how do we foster better cooperation in our own lives?
Right.
Work, community.
It circles back to clear shared goals, good communication, empathy, respect. Building trust is fundamental. Recognizing that together you can achieve more. Shared ownership.
Makes sense. Okay, nearly there. Lesson 14, profiting by failure, learning from mistakes.
Exactly that. Seeing every failure not as an end, but as a lesson, a chance to learn something valuable if you look for it.
He says adversity reveals strength.
Yeah, that challenges can show you what you're really made of. He talks about his own setbacks being like friendly guideposts, pushing him in a better direction eventually. Failure is a stepping stone.
So for you listening, how do you adopt that mindset? Turn failures into fuel, not roadblocks.
It's about consciously reframing it. Ask, what did I learn? What can I do differently? Analyze, don't just agonize. Then apply those lessons. That's how you build resilience and wisdom.
Analyze, don't agonize. Good one. Lesson 15, tolerance.
He argues intolerance literally closes your mind, stops you from thinking accurately because you're shut off from different ideas or facts.
He uses religious prejudice as an example.
Yeah, showing how hatred and prejudice towards different viewpoints just block understanding. He pleads for an open mind, respect for different perspectives.
Crucial today, with so much polarization, how do we practice more tolerance?
Actively seek out different viewpoints. Try to understand why someone holds a different belief, even if you disagree. Approach differences with curiosity, not judgment. Embrace that diversity of thought often leads to better outcomes.
Curiosity over judgment. Okay, final lesson. 16, the golden rule.
Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Simple, profound.
He sees this as fundamental for success.
Absolutely. A cornerstone for harmony, trust, and long-term success in relationships and business. He even mentions his publisher wanted to call it Hill's Golden Rule.
But does it really work in the cutthroat modern world? Seems idealistic.
Maybe, but think long-term. Treating people ethically, fairly, with respect, it builds trust, it builds reputation, it creates positive relationships. In the long run, that's incredibly valuable, even in a competitive environment. It's the foundation.
So that's the 16. Quite a journey. They really do connect, don't they? It's a whole system.
It is a holistic approach. And even though they come from analyzing success stories from, a century ago, the core ideas feel remarkably relevant.
Definitely actionable. So for you listening, the question is, which of these resonate most right now? Where are your biggest challenges or goals? Maybe it's definiteness of purpose. Maybe it's self-control.
Yeah, focus on one or two that jump out.
And here's a final thought to chew on. Our world is changing so fast. Which of these timeless principles might actually need the most adaptation for you to succeed today? How would you tweak them for your unique situation?
That's the real work, applying it personally.
Yeah.
We definitely encourage you to explore Hill's ideas further. Think about how these nuggets of wisdom can become part of your own path to being well-informed and ultimately more successful.
Thanks for taking this deep dive with us today.